Hello everyone.
So, good day, dear NU community and our guests, respected. So, in this meeting, we are going to have a professor talk with our respected guest, Niraj Kumar. So, um, professor prepared a lecture on the topic of cybersecurity and smart grid. So, uh, dear participants, you will have a great chance to learn more about cybersecurity and smart grid, machine learning, Internet of Things, and so on. So at the end of this lecture, you will have an opportunity to ask individual questions. And now we are going to start our lecture. So, dear professor,
Yeah,
you,
please allow me to share my screen.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. Yes. It's visible now. Okay. I hope this will be visible to all of you. So many thanks, Professor Danish and this university to provide me this opportunity to share my views on one of the topic that is energy management and security preservation in smart grid data centers. So obviously this is an emerging area nowadays because you see, keeping in view of the energy of different devices, how we can design different optimization technique, and one of the optimization technique is machine learning or deep learning based models. And obviously in smart grid environment, we have different data sets, and how we can be able to analyze different data sets for optimize energy management, and also obviously one of the issue that is of security preservations. So let me briefly I mean to say here, introduce myself. So myself having more than 20 years of experience, and my broad area of research is cyber security and network management along with data analytics parts. And I have many international collaborative research projects that's going on in these research areas along with these industries and other parts. So I have more than 400 technical papers in different journals. Right now, I have more than 16,000 citations with current tech index of 70 and different stakeholders. So I'm the leader of Cyber Physical System Research Group in Thapar Institute, and I'm associated with various professional bodies in capacity of technical editors, and receives best papers award from different organizations. And I have supervised number of PhDs and MAs and edited many books in this area. So now we come on to the basic part, that is nowadays you can see that cloud data centers, which are integral part of smart grid environment, that has been emerged. And it provides basically shared pool of resources such as servers, storage, or networks of geo distributed data centers, electric vehicles, smart devices. So with the inception of all these technologies, the cloud service providers will use multiple copies of virtual resources, and these virtual resources can be used by the users from different parts. So these data centers are managed by different service providers, and these service providers consisting of smart grid environment. So there is expansion of data centers that is manage the data which is generated from smart grid devices. So according to the recent Cisco index, almost one third of the workload of IT sector is handled by the cloud data centers. And there are number of IoT application till 2020. This had been increased by 2.7 fold, and there is a huge amount of data which is being generated by different devices in smart grid environment. So such a huge amount of data streams from different applications, there will be I mean to say, a pressure on the existing data centers, which expands both horizontally and vertically. So how to cope up with these scenarios? So modern day scenarios look like this. This was up to 2020. There are a number of applications nowadays in smart city environment. Like there is a connected planes, there are intelligent buildings, there are smart hospitals, there are smart cars, smart grid, weather sensors, connected factories, public safety. So I mean to say here, all these applications are smart applications, and these smart applications generated 200 billions gigabyte data per day. And this is a huge amount of data that is being generated from these different applications. And till 2020, 1600 zettabyte data has been generated by different applications. So in the years to come, these factors will increase in many folds. Let's say in 20 smart city 2030 scenario, so there will be a huge expansion with respect to the data set scenario. So this will create an extra burden on the overall smart grid environment, that how to cope up with these types of scenario, where we needs to have some sort of mechanism or optimize algorithms or optimization techniques which will cater this huge amount of data which is being generated from different applications. And we need to have some optimization techniques which will forecast that how much data can be generated from these applications, and how to cope up with this huge amount of data which is being generated from different applications. So uh, even you can see that this increasing demand of data oriented applications, storage and processing by large service providers such as Google, Facebook or Amazon, that has created a way for creation of massive cloud data centers. And with an increase in smart communities like smart healthcare, smart grid, internet of things, so demand of real-time processing and storage of data using data centers has been increased many folds. So it has been found that over 12 million servers are installed in nearly 3 million data centers managed for daily activities like emails, social websites, media, e-commerce in US only. So these factors will generate a huge amount of, I mean to say here, data which is being generated from different applications scenario. So in this scenario, there will be a need that we should have some optimized algorithms, or we should have some, I mean to say here, optimization technique which will keep which will keep track of the demand response management between data centers and one of the application, let's say smart grid users, where we have different smart appliances which are being used in our day-to-day home life, in our smart home itself. So on an average, you can see that the list of largest data centers are provided from Google, Facebook, Microsoft or Amazon. So these number of users are there which are using these servers for different applications like email, or they may be used for other applications itself. So these applications which are being used by the users from these data centers service providers will create a huge burden with respect to the designing of network management policies, or with respect to the resource allocation, or with respect to the service, I mean to say access control policies. So we need to design new techniques and solutions with respect to first challenges, with respect to the challenges that have been mentioned, is that is high energy conservations or high energy consumptions by these data centers, that will also consist of high operational cost, large sources of carbon footprints, grid instability, and inefficient utilization of data center resources. So all in all, these are some sort of challenges, keeping in view of the data, or keeping in view of the number of users in data centers that had been expansion of data centers in all verticals along with horizontal and vertical expansions. keeping in view of the high energy consumption and operational cost. So a recent statistic shows that data centers energy consumptions are equal to the generation of 13 nuclear plants in US only, and also data centers consumes about 2% of electricity annually in US only. And similarly, other statistics are also shows that data centers consumes nearly 91 billion kilowatt hours of energy in US only. So this huge amount of energy is sufficient to power New York City for about 2 years. So this is an alarming sign which highlights that energy consumptions of the data centers increased from 17 billion kilowatt hours to 330 billion kilowatt hours from 2000 to 2007 itself. And by 2020, it has increased to 100 billion kilowatt hours. And the years to come in the 2030 or 2040, this sign will automatically be increased many folds from this 1,000 billion kilowatt hours to maybe 2,000 billion kilowatt hour, because number of users that has been increased manifold. So I mean to say these are the alarming signs, and energy consumptions of different countries across the globes. You can see the scenario here is that most of the energy consumptions is from US and China itself, with respect to the billion kilowatt hours energy that is consumed according to the recent statistics. So there are different component, I mean to say here, as far as energy consumptions of data centers and smart grid appliances are concerned. So you can see that more than 50% of the energy consumptions will go into the cooling process itself, along with 3% energy consumptions has been in lightning process, and then we have 11% in power conversion factors. Then some network and hardware devices also consumes nearly 10% of the total energy consumptions. Then servers and storage consisting of 26%. So if we roughly estimate these two are the dominating components, I mean to say cooling and server and storage, that is 26. So this roughly 76% of the total energy consumptions of data center will comes from these two attributes. So there may be I mean to say some sort of mechanism that needs to be devised so that these two factors energy consumptions can be minimized with respect to some efficient I mean to say policy design with respect to resource allocation or with respect to the internal functionality of cloud data centers, so that we can make a balance between demand and supply, and also we can take care of how we can cut off this energy consumptions which is being used in these two activities at the cloud data centers. So these are some high operational cost as far as we can say data energy consumptions of cloud data centers are concerned. So this huge amount of data center energy consumptions with respect to the routine activities that will consisting of energy consumptions from the we can say execution of different jobs by the cloud data centers for smart grid applications. So these number of we can say activities are mainly involved with respect to generation of carbon footprints. So the use of fossil fuels to power such a huge amount of, I mean to say data centers will result an increase in carbon footprints in the environment, which is obviously an alarming sign in the years to come. So for these reason, I would say that data centers are projected as the biggest contribution to the carbon footprints in the environment. So energy sector powering data center is projected as the largest source of global emissions with 16% increase. It will be 36.7 GT by 2040. So that will be an alarming sign. I mean to say here that we should devise new mechanisms or machine learning based optimized algorithms where we can make a balance between demand and supply with respect to the energy which is being generated from sources and energy consumed by the sources. So that's why you can see there will be carbon emissions from, as expected, has been increased in 2020 in most of the parts from US itself. And then after this, this is carbon emission is mainly emerged from China itself and rest of the countries also here. So that you can see that these are the two major role players for most of the carbon emissions as far as data centers that had been deployed across the globes. And these are the two major countries which are mostly involved for operational of majority of the data centers. So obviously the carbon footprints had been generated from these countries a lot. So that's why new policy needs to be designed. So how that the grid will be stable. So due to this imbalance between demand and supply, there will be a grid instability, and the global energy demand will grow annual by 1%. So this will make it one third growth from 2030 to 2040. So that's why you can say a considerable amount of energy demand is led by the physical infrastructure that is deployed uh, by various ICT-based service providers. So you can see a large contribution to the energy load. Such infrastructure may lead to the instability of the grid because it will decrease, or it will, I mean to say here, make an imbalance between demand and supply. And cloud computing can be one of the, we can say, leading service providers which will serve the request of different services as a part of the smart grid environment. So uh, in summary, we can say huge amount of data center energy consumptions that will bears additional load on the connected power grid, which may leads to the grid instability. So we needs to design a new, we can say, policy which will consist of efficient utilization of data center resources, which obviously will uh, tackle the issue of energy consumptions and carbon footprint along with the operational cost in this environment itself. So, what is the solution for this imbalance which is generated by these data centers which are constantly operated and which are provided services from I mean to say here smart grid environment. So this dependency on the traditional fossil fuels has been increased drastically in the last few decades, and energy sector remains the largest I mean to a source of global emission with projected increase of 16%. I mean to say this will be 36.7 GT by 2040. So this decrease in annual growth rate of carbon emissions is a positive sign, and this renewable energy sources I mean to say are expected to overpower all other sources of power generation with deployment of 3600 gigawatt renewable energy sources from 2030 to 2040, with most of it from wind and solar sources. So I mean to say here, if we have to stabilize this grid, or if we have to provide stability to such type of environment where most of the times we have to provide energy to the cloud data centers, then the possible solution for this type of gap which has been generated between demand and supply is to introduce these renewable energy sources, which will be a major role player. And using renewable energy sources, we can make or we can sustain this smart grid with respect to demand and supply. And electric vehicles or renewable energy sources can be one of the viable solutions which can be used in this environment. So along with this, there are certain factors which are more popular for integration of data centers with renewable energy sources, because the popularity of renewable energy sources has opened new doors for tackling this increasing level of carbon footprints globally. So I mean to say here, with an increase in harmful emissions globally, the use of renewable energy sources can benefit this data center, smart grid, and society at large. So this RES could not only, I mean to say, ease the large amount of load on the grid, but it also reduces the harmful carbon emissions. Hence, there is a need to shift the focus from non-renewable energy sources towards this renewable energy sources. So the integration of data centers with renewable energy sources, I would say, will be a major leap towards grid stability and cost reduction with respect to energy consumptions. So why there is a requirement of sustainability? So I would say, according to recent survey, carbon emissions associated to the energy consumptions of data centers are expected to be double as compared to 2011. So with such an increase in the growth rate of carbon emissions, the environment sustainability level can also be degraded proportionality. So to cope up with these challenges, the focus of data centers is slowly shifting from uses of renewable energy sources towards the sustainability of data center. I mean to say, it will be a 100% renewable energy sources participation in the years to come. So sustainability energy obviously can provide manifold benefits, such as it will reduce the carbon emissions. It will also reduce the or manage the grid load, and also the operational cost, along with the participation in environment commitment. So I mean to say here, how we can design a model which can be used for renewable energy participation. So in overall scenario, you can see that here we have a data centers, and this data center will be provided energy source and energy requirement from these renewable energy sources, and whatever the renewable energy sources extra power had been there, so this will be stored in this energy storage unit, that is ESU. And from this ESU, we can make some sort of charging and discharging controller mechanism would be there. That is, a charging station mechanism is there, or charging station can be deployed. And using those charging stations, these electric vehicles can charge from these charging station controllers. And obviously, these battery energy storage systems provide stability to the utility grid also. So there is a minimum dependency of the energy from of these cloud data centers from this utility grid, because most of the times its requirement can be fulfilled from these renewable energy sources participations or the electric vehicle participations. So obviously this will be a big question, that how these uh, battery energy storage system or this participation of electric vehicles can be used in constructing this type of scenario or stability of this data centers in any environment itself. So there is a model which says that the energy generated from RES, the energy sources from this RES that is given by um, from this RES would be consisting of two parts. One is generation from energy generation from PV panel, and energy generation from wind. So the energy generation from PV panel will be given by straightforward equation, which consisting of solar radiations and conversion efficiency of the panel and the radiation angle of sunlight, and this represents the size of the panel and also the temperature experience loss. So I mean to say here that this equation is used for energy generation from renewable from PV panel itself, and uh, this an equation is used for energy generation from the wind turbine, which consisting of rotor efficiency, air density, area swept by the rotor blades, and wind speed and temperature experience loss. So this complete model consisting of the energy generation from renewable energy sources like PV panel or wind turbine, and there is a I mean to say energy which is also generated from electric vehicles as depicted in the previous slides. And this energy generated by the battery, which is a part of the electric vehicles, can be represented by like this. So this V is the voltage association from this battery, rated capacity of the EV battery, and SOC, that is state of the charge or initial charge, state of the charge of the EV's battery. So this energy available for all EVs at data centers is given by these equations. So I mean to say here, uh, this was the I mean to say generation part, but now there is a consumption part also. The utility grid act as a large energy sources which is connected to data centers with some controllers. So the energy available at the utility grid can be drawn to power the DC with respect to this equation, which is consisting of energy drawn from data centers, and this is we can say energy supplied to data centers. So this is drawn minus supply. So this will be the energy which is passed to the grid itself. So I mean to then we can construct the energy stored in energy storage unit, that is depend upon terminal voltage and capacity of the battery, and it's given by this formula, that is energy stored in the battery of the energy storage unit, and SOC is the SOC required for charging of battery. So some self discharge loss is also there, that is 1 to 5% per hour occurs at energy storage unit. So the energy stored in ESU at any given instance of time can be represented from this equation, where this is a self discharge rate and the energy consumed from ESU. So overall energy consumptions for the by kth server of data center is given by this equation, which consisting of basically the idle energy consumes, maximum energy consumes, and utilization level of kth servers of data centers. And then we can specify the utility level of kth servers from these equations. So these equations specify that the energy consumptions from the network devices is also part of the data center part, which has taken energy from the grid. So this will consisting of the energy consumed from network switches and port, and we can formulate the equations using a simple mathematical equation which consisting of how many number of switches are operational and how many number of ports are open in any dynamic environment. So based upon this, the overall energy consumption of typical data center is given by this formula, that is EDC by K, EDC by N, and EDC by C itself. So to achieve the sustainability, these equations are used. So we can formulate these equations. Now, once we have formulated the model, so there are certain cases where if the energy drawn from renewable energy sources to the data center is greater than EDCC, that means excess energy generated by renewable energy sources that will be stored in energy storage unit. So we can take a difference between this. But if EX, that is greater than maximum capacity of the energy storage unit, then this excess energy is supplied to EVs for charging mechanism. So that equation will be used. However, if there are no EV to charge the excess energy, or there is still some energy available after all EVs had been charged, then this excess energy is supplied to the grid, and it is given by these equations. So overall, we can say there are different cases where we have the energy generated from data centers will be greater than the energy requirement from these data centers, and then this excess energy will be supplied to the EVs, and then after charging of EVs, if still some energy has been left, so this will be passed to the grid for I mean to say for sustainability. Then in second case, if this renewable energy sources energy generation is less than EDC, then the required energy is drawn from ESU and EVs, and required energy is given by these formulas. And after drawing energy from ESU, if energy is still available with data center, then it is drawn from EVs. Then this energy drawn from EVs stored in ESU and supplied to data center to fulfill the energy deficit of data centers. So the required energy is given as follow. So some point of time energy required may not be available with EVs. Hence, in such a case, an energy deficit is drawn from the grid to which data center is connected and is given by this formula. So third case is if energy generated from a data center is equal to EDC, then required energy is supplied to the data center. So for this types of scenario, we can define certain objective functions, and these objective functions are defined energy of data centers, renewable energy sources, and plus minus, and that is energy supplied to the EVs with respect to certain constant, which is the rated power of renewable energy sources, minimum capacity of energy storage unit, price charge from by data center to supply the energy to EV, and price charge by EV to supply the energy to DC. So keeping in view of these strategies, we can have the EV discharging scheme, and that is EV joining this scheme may require some, we can say, mechanism in which they can depart from data center. Then their SOC level can be specified with these equations. So I hope these equations are already discussed with this part. And during the charging mechanism, we have some sort of reward mechanism to the EVs, and this energy can be charged from DC using these equations, which is the rated capacity of the EVs along with maximum SOC, that is maximum SOC of the ith EV that can achieve, and the updated SOC of ith EV after charging or discharging from the data centers itself. So these equations, I hope, will be quite simplified version that how these SOC can be changed with respect to charging and discharging of electric vehicles from the smart grid, and this excess energy available to the charge of EVs that are not part of reward point scheme is given from these equations. And in this context, we can say the energy that EV can charge from DC is given by these formulas. So this is the reward scheme that can be used that for maximum participation of electric vehicles in this energy trading mechanism for sustainability of data centers, which is operated by the smart grid. We can have the reward mechanism, and this reward mechanism is based upon SOC level, final SOC level, or initial SOC level, and we have some normalization factor that is for charging and discharging of those electric vehicles from cloud data centers, and these rewards are owned by EV owners, and these are updated automatically for initial, final, and utilized value of reward points itself. Similarly, we can say there are two types of utility functions that we can define, and one utility function is for EVs and second utility functions is for CS. So the utility function for EVs is revenue and price, and the utility function for CS is basically the total cost of energy, that is comprises of cost with respect to the generation and maintenance of energy at any given instance of time. So using those revenues and cost, the utility function of data centers can be defined in this scenario itself. Similarly, there is a pricing model. So pricing model is basically consisting of how much price we can take during a energy trading mechanism. So this threshold limit is calculated. Using this threshold limit, we can define the price of energy during peak hours or off peak hours, and this price of energy during peak and off peak hours is given from these formulas itself. So this was the scheme that was designed for participation of electric vehicles in energy trading mechanism in a cloud data center itself. And in these cloud data centers, maximum times we are dependent on renewable energy sources, so that if there is some sort of deficit of energy from this cloud data, from this smart grid or from these renewable energy sources, then we can involve the electric vehicles by providing some, I mean to say, by providing some reward scheme, so that we can provide sustainability to the cloud data center. But if there is some sort of excess energy which has been generated from renewable energy sources, then this excess energy can be stored in energy storage unit, and using those energy storage unit, we can provide communications, we can provide uh, we can provide sustainability into the cloud data center itself. So overall, this scheme can be designed keeping in view of this network scenario, where we have not only considered the participation of electric vehicles, but we are also considering the energy sources or energy layer from which various types of renewable energy sources can be used for participation of for participation of cloud data center sustainability. So you can view this as a, I mean to say here, four layer architecture, where on the left hand side we have various user layer or end users are there, which are the major sources of energy consumption. So these users may be nave users, or there may be electric vehicles, which are the major sources of energy consumptions from this environment itself. And if these users are active participations, use active participation for energy demand from these, I mean to say, data centers itself. So a strong network backbone would be required, through which the whole information is to be transferred to these energy sources, to these data centers. And through these data centers, obviously these are provided with some sort of energy dissipations at this layer. So you can see at here that if there's some sort of energy which is being generated from these renewable energy sources, so extra energy that has been generated, which is passed or stored in this battery energy storage system, and which will be used to store extra energy which has been supplied from these renewable energy sources. So once this energy which had been generated from these renewable energy sources, so this extra energy has been provided or stored into this battery energy storage system, which can be used one of the alternate sources, which will provides the energy to these data center itself, and which is the major source of, I mean to say, energy consumption part. And we can make a trade-off with respect to demand and supply in this particular scenario itself. So if we analyze the results association with that, so we can directly go to the result part, that how this result would be analyzed. So I would say that these are the some sort of glimpses where we have different types of jobs on the x-axis, and where we have some sort of what we call as the resources required for these jobs to be executed. So major resources we have considered as a part of execution of different jobs is CPU, memory, and storage. So these are the we can say trend. In most of the cases, you can see CPU utilization is the more number of resources are required for, I mean to say, execution of different jobs as compared with storage or memory requirements. Similarly, we can have the arrival rate, that how many number of jobs are arrived, keeping in view of the data center busy schedule. There may be a number of applications which are running, like for example, we are accessing social websites, or we are executing different types of jobs. So arrival rate will vary from some index from one part to another part. So different number of jobs will be executed at particular instance of time. So there may be some sort of priority of each jobs would also be required from different hosts itself. So that had been can be analyzed from these figures itself. So if we can analyze that how this energy can be consumed, either deploying these services on the edge cloud environment, or simply the cloud environment. So you can visualize from these results that if we deploy the applications on the edge of the cloud data centers. So energy consumptions will be less, because most of the times, if we send all the information or all the requests to the centralized cloud database server, so it may takes a huge amount of energy consumptions, keeping in view of the requirement, keeping in view of the I mean to say network energy consumptions, or I mean to say here, ports or switches energy consumption. So this will show that if we put all the resources close to the proximity of the users, then in some scenario we can say that the energy consumption will be less as compared with putting all the resources at the remote site itself. Similarly, if we tackle or we can analyze these results, like in this particular figure, so you can see the combination of edge and cloud data centers. So energy consumptions in cloud data center will be higher, and energy consumptions on the edge devices are a little bit high. But if we use a mixture of edge and cloud, then we can say the energy consumptions of the cloud data centers, which is managed by smart grid, will be minimized. So all in all, if we use this edge cloud types of interplay environment, so energy consumptions of cloud data center can be minimized, and then we can have a uh, good balance between demand and supply, and we can make a negotiation with respect to reduction in the carbon footprint in the environment, and that will be provided with a good, I mean to say, eco-friendly environment to be used in the environment, to be used in the future itself. Similarly, these scenario shows you that if we have different data centers that may be deployed across different geographical regions, so these data centers that may be deployed across different geographical regions along with edge devices, so we can have a mixture of edge devices and cloud data centers that may be used across different geographical regions, and using those priority scheduling, we can always make a balance between demand and supply. And if we have to make a demand and supply, so major sources of energy generation will be from solar side, because obviously solar energy generation will depend upon the location and depend upon the site where we want to deploy all those solar panels, and it depends upon the weather also. But in most of the cases, if we assume a realistic scenario, then we can say that the solar energy consumption will be one of the major sources for energy generation, and we can make a energy generation scenario where we can make a demand supply based scenario where most of the times we can depend upon this solar as well as wind turbine types of scenario. So so I would say that if we can analyze the results from these figures, so you can see that the energy generation that has been from renewable energy sources will be look like this, and energy consumed by edge devices will be like this, and energy generation from renewable energy source. So this will be the excess energy which can be kept in energy storage unit, or which can be used to provide demand response management for smart grid devices. And most importantly, this excess energy can also be used for making charging of the electric vehicle, which in sense in long run can also be used to provide sustainability to these cloud data centers. Similarly, this is the energy which has been generated by renewable energy sources, and this is the energy which is consumed by data centers. So we can make a I mean to say scenario where this excess energy which has been generated from these scenarios from renewable energy sources can be used to charge these electric vehicles, or they can also be used for maintaining the demand supply management between cloud data center itself. So not only this, we can also integrate some solutions for security based solutions, because you see in some cases it may be possible that we can use uh, to maintain a decentralized based framework using blockchain based technology, where we need not have to have full dependency on this centralized architecture. So this centralized architecture obviously consisting of a failure with respect to overall dependency on one central entity, which can be a major sources of failure. So in some cases, if we have to make a, full-fledged system where attackers cannot attack the demand and supply between electric vehicles and cloud data center, then we can switch over to this decentralized framework, which is one of the sources for, I mean to say, one of the sources for energy consumptions and energy dissipations between data center itself. So I mean to say here that if we use blockchain-based technology, then blockchain-based technology can be used at a utility center where we can provide authentication and authorization for different transactions between demand and supply, and using those demand and supply, we can make that make that make the overall scenario a very healthy scenario. Like for example, in this scenario, you can see that all the transactions of charging and discharging can be automated with respect to the uses of blockchain technology, where we will start with the initialization process, and then we have some registration process association with that, and then we will search out the process, and along with this we can generate the public and private key, and then we can request for vehicle to grid services, and then we can authenticate this process. So there are some sort of, I mean to say, entities which will coordinate between utility centers and charging stations. So these entities are electric vehicles. So electric vehicles can be charged from these charging stations in governance with this utility center. So this utility center is the overall coordinator which will maintains the overall logs, and we can maintain blockchain based technology which can be replicated on these charging stations, which will be the overall authentication mechanism for making energy trading or energy requirement from these electric vehicles. So in blockchain technology, all of these transactions with respect to charging and discharging will be validated from different blocks which are cryptographically hashed using SHA-256 base hashing mechanism. And using this SHA-256 base hashing mechanism, we can add blocks into different block, and we can add blocks into the existing blockchain networks, and we can verify and validate these transactions using blockchain technology on decentralized platform. So I mean to say here that if we analyze this whole scenario, then this whole scenario can be analyzed with respect to energy trading mechanism between cloud data centers and smart grid environment using edge data center. So you can see that these can be verified and validated with respect to these scenarios itself. So all in all, we can say these excess energy scenario with respect to resource management and cloud data center can be maintained using data centers and users itself with respect to the participation of with respect to the renewable energy participation and energy storage units at the data centers, and we can maintain a optimization technique for load forecasting and the energy dissipation between different entities at this level. Overall scenario can be depicted like here. So we have these renewable energy sources, and we attach with these energy storage units which can provide the energy to these data centers, and then we can be able to make a demand supply management scenarios here. So we can skip this part, and then I think with time limits we have directly go to the future scope. So there are a number of issues that we can tackle at this scenario. So we can design EV-based energy management system that can handle various types of energy management requirement from cloud data centers for smart grid environment, and we can also maintains classification and optimization schemes that can be used to maintain sustainability in cloud data centers in smart grid environment. So this was I think basic mechanisms or discussion on stability of cloud data centers in vicinity of smart grid environment, along with security and privacy preservation using blockchain technology. And we can also use machine learning and deep learning based algorithm for load forecasting and demand response management in cloud data centers. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any queries, so I'm happy to answer your queries.
So great, thanks to Professor Niraj Kumar. So it's time for questions. If you have some things to clarify, you can type in to the chat.
Yeah, some query comes. Okay.
Hello, Professor. I have one question.
Yeah.
What do you recommend to the most of us here is electrical engineers, and some of us of like really interested in ML, I mean machine learning. And what do you suggest to learn machine learning? Do you think that it will be the future jobs and like a lot of future jobs? And what do you think about this field?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. So machine learning based algorithms or models can be learned by you people for demand forecasting and load forecasting. So you need to design some machine learning based algorithm based upon how much is the energy generated from different sources, and then how you can make a policy for making a balance between demand and supply. So it's better that you learn machine learning and deep learning based algorithms from different courses, and it will be helpful for you to find jobs in different industries itself. So it's an emerging area. You should learn machine learning and deep learning based algorithms.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Professor, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that machine learning algorithm, deep neural network approach is the future of the research? Like,
Yeah, I mean to say these are data scientists are in great need all across the globe. So future of this smart grid, because everything is supposed to become automated, so it will be better that you should learn this machine learning and deep learning based algorithm, and then you apply those machine learning and deep learning algorithms in your power electronics, or maybe you in your traditional electrical engineering problems like smart grid environment, or for circuit design, etc., etc. So it is the future of these technologies, very bright.
I just heard that from other professors that deep neural network approach, the machine learning algorithms are just a trend for now, and in the long-term future there will be some other methods that will be used by researchers. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I have an opinion on this, that you should concentrate on the basic part of electrical engineering, like power electronics, like load side forecasting, like frequency regulations. These are some emerging issues. Obviously you need to have some optimization technique to solve these problems, and one of those optimization technique is your machine learning or deep learning based algorithms, which can be used to design solutions in power electronics, or for the load side demand forecasting.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your nice session, and be patient for 1 hour to listen this lecture. If you have any still have any queries, or you can just drop me a message or email. So I'm putting my email to everyone so that you can interact if you have any queries regarding this. So I'm happy to be answer your queries, and you can also see my Google Scholar if you have, so that you can search it out how and what type of work I have done. And if you are interested in that work, then obviously you can refer those work, and you can also do some work in that particular direction. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks to everyone.
Okay, thanks to the professor for this great lecture. This is the end of our lecture today, and yeah, here is the information in the chat for our students.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Have a
Bye.